Well, shooters and reloaders, Fortune Cookie 45LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone. What you're about to see is a video that was made exclusively for the Three Circles Patreon site, and so momentous that it really needs to get out to a broader audience. So that's why I'm posting this on YouTube. And it's all about shotgun slugs and the history of shotgun slug reloaders trying to get performance and accuracy to match factory like this. Let's go into history first and then talk about Sputnik. Well, Three Circles, members and passengers. This video is the result now of 30 plus years of shooting slugs and trying to make them work. I'm going to go ahead and give you the conclusions based on 30 years and also the revelation that is the current Russian slugs. So we've got accuracy nailed down to 3 factors, and that is skill, consistency, and stability. Now we're not going to talk about metallics, rifles, and handguns right now. We're going to talk about shotguns. So if you look closely at what you see here, it is the history of American shotgun shooters' efforts over the last 30 plus nearly 40 years. Not just me, but all who have tried to make these systems work. And most have run into a great deal of frustration and acceptance of a lower order of performance. But we were happy because we could make our own slug reloads for a lot less than factory cost. But we were relying on factory shot shells to do our hunting and serious work at well over $1 a shot. And many shotgun slug shooters who did not reload their own simply paid the fare down through the years for all their slug shooting. All this stuff was jerry-rigging, and we wondered why we couldn't get good accuracy consistently. The problem we have is that these slugs are sub-caliber, meant to be shot out of smoothbores like this smoothbore deer barrel, or rifled bores like this Mossberg rifled 12 gauge barrel. And these have to be placed into wads like this. And when they go down the barrel in the wad, then the wad releases them, they're on their way, and hopefully we get accuracy. But that is not something that is easily achieved. Now there are some shooters out there who have found these to be very accurate because they have something magical in their barrels that allows accurate shooting with this system. And this is what they're getting. The slug goes inside the wad like this, and you see how the bearing surfaces are right there and is consistent all the way around where it bears. This is a fired wad, and notice how the wad maintained itself during the firing cycle, and the pedals cushion the wad down to travel in the barrel and release the wad fine, because that's what we found downrange, this. And we get accurate shots. Now if you have a magical barrel that will do that every time, then you have a barrel that is special. And they don't know exactly what they did when they made that barrel. You're lucky if you have a barrel like that. Now the rest of us get barrels, whether we're shooting them smooth or rifled. We get this sometimes, but not all the time. Notice how the wad actually engraved itself into the base of the slug a little bit, but not excessively. So this shot accurately. The problem with most of us is that that doesn't happen all the time. We get wads that do this. They get mangled in the travel down the barrel. There's excessive engraving of the wad into the base of the slug, and the pedals stripped off. And notice that instead of having those nice consistent bearing marks on the pedals, we have marks that are all over the place and not consistent. As the pedals started to ride down the slug and the friction caused the stripping off of the pedals, and as soon as that happens, you got a flyer. And if the release of the wad from the slug is not good, you got a flyer. And if the base section gets all beat up and distorted, deformed, you got a flyer. And that's why we have, most of us, that's why most of us get inconsistency with our accuracy. In fact, the flyers are about 2 out of every 5. So you see, it's possible to shoot a 3-shot group, and it's pretty good group. But the flyers are there waiting in the wings if this happens. So what I've concluded is that we take our slug and we put it into a wad like this, and then it has to go into the barrel but be pushable through so it's not too tight. Because if it's too tight, it'll strip off with every shot and you get very bad accuracy. But if it's just right, then the pedals maintain themselves and the shot is on its way accurately. That goes for the smooth as well, you see? It's not too tight. But see, even then, you may not get, because if there's enough friction and we get the pedals starting to ride on the slug, it'll wind up stripping off. So if you got a magic barrel, you got it. And it was hard to determine the magic barrel. And we tried all kinds of wad combinations trying to get this. And we tried different slugs, like these lieu slugs. All different combinations. Different combination of powder, all kinds of combinations, trying to find the magical combination. And it's escaped us for 30 plus years. Now, again, if you have a magic barrel, then you are among the lucky ones. Hang on to that barrel. Now, if you notice, our factory slugs outshoot our reload slugs every time. And that's because they have proprietary wads that actually have posts that fit perfectly into the back end to support the slug. And the slugs happen to have little flanges that ride the barrel. They don't have sub-caliber. They don't use pedals. The only pedals that are on factory slugs are actually sabots, that are tough plastic covers that go around a smaller slug. Kind of like the sabots on M1A tanks. And they get their accuracy that way. Not these little thin pedals that can strip off like this. But we didn't have the ability to get those factory components. They didn't make them available to us. We can't cast them. And the ones that we can buy from BPI are on the pricey side. Might as well buy factory slugs. So all these years, we really haven't had anything that can match factory. And there really wasn't any secrets, because the mold makers and the component makers, they knew what made factory slugs shoot so well. It was mated systems, proprietary systems of slug and wads that were mated for best performance together. And we knew about this also, but we couldn't get any of the components, much less make them. And now, with shotgun slugs, Sputnik has arrived. Molds from Russia to cast slugs that work. Proprietary slug wad systems that are now available to us. Just like Sputnik, the gauntlet has been thrown down, and now we as American shot shell slug shooter reloaders now have components that can rival factory. And this should set the industry on its ear, so that we as American shotgun slug shooters are going to benefit. Hail to all of you American shotgun slug shooters now have things that were not available before, and is a good time to be a slug shooter. The game has changed because of the arrival of Russian slug molds. Notice that we have bearing surface on this slug. A little band here and a little band there, and that's to cause us to have safety, but yet we can have accuracy because this band and that little band rides the barrel, giving us consistency. No pedals that can be inconsistent. Then we have a good consistent base section. All this to achieve stability. So when the slug comes down the barrel consistently, and then once it's in flight, we have stability, whether it's a rifled barrel or whether it's a smooth bore, we have accuracy. Notice that the slug is engraved by the rifling, that this slug actually fills the grooves of the shotgun barrel, you see? And sure, we can't get that to go in there, but that's the whole idea. Because the bearing surface is small, we don't have pressure problems. And this can take the rifling, and then once it's out of the barrel, this will provide stability. And the spin gives us stability. A double stable system. Now, with our smooth bore, notice that this is pushable in there, but it's right at the barrel contact with the slug and the wad. So again, without the use of rifling, we get consistent travel down the barrel, a consistent exit from the barrel, and then because the tail wad acts like a shuttlecock with no spin, this can be stable in flight. And by the way, because they do ride the bore, do you think that's the reason why Dave Thorzak's was so astute to go ahead and use rooster jacket on these? If we cast our own, powder coating might be a very good thing to do. Or 45-45-10. Or use rooster jacket like Dave Thorzak's. We're getting good accuracy, in fact fine accuracy, with the Russian slugs, whether it's the fire hydrant slug, which works the same way, or whether it's the frangible slug, works the same way. But it has to be together with the tail wad. So you see, the Russian slugs make use of the same principles for accuracy that have been present in all of our factory slugs all these years. Yet they force us to use systems that are compromises and might have mediocre accuracy at best. Now, I'd like to give a special vote of thanks to Dave Thorzak 777 because of his insight in getting the Russian slug molds, getting the Russian tail wads, and then sending me these so I can get the word out to all of you. These are great slugs. Now, I've gone ahead and ordered my own Russian slug mold. Hasn't arrived yet, but I'll let you know when it gets here. And what Dave is doing is something very important for us, and that is he's making it possible for us to get the special tail wads and making them available to us through the Reloaders Network. So you might want to go over there and check that out as soon as he gets those wads in, because it's the wads and the slugs working together that will give us success. So special thanks to Dave. You might want to check out the Thorzak 777 and the Reloaders Network on getting your slugs put together. These things are a revelation. Bye for now.